Hello. I have some stuff coming for this. We're going to finally get this trim done. I finally figured out what I'm going to do. We're going to button this up, but before I do that, I want to wait for all of the parts and stuff to come in. What I'm doing today is I'm going to put a window in here, actually. So we're going to build a header. The bottom sort of sill of the window will be at the level of the bench. And what that will do is it will form a spot where this miter saw can kind of blow sawdust into. And then at the bottom, I'll create kind of a funnel like you would see in a blast cabinet that'll be hooked up to the vacuum, which will be right there on the other side of that wall. Let's get this window going, because as soon as the window is in, I can put the insulation up, and then tomorrow I'll have the OSB sheathing that I'm going to put in here. We can put the OSB sheathing in. Originally, I was going to do the ceiling first, because ordinarily what you would want is to put the ceiling in and butt that up against the top plate, and then put your wall sheathing underneath that. It also kind of helps support the ceiling. But because I'm putting 2x6s sistered on these rafters, I'm going to actually put a little 2x4 ledger board on the top plate, and that'll give a little bit more purchase area for the 2x6 rafter to sit on, even though I don't really need it, but it'll just help. I'm adding 2x6 rafters because I'm actually adding quite a bit of weight with all the plywood and insulation to this roof. And these rafters are only 2x4s, so I feel like it's not quite sufficient for the material that I'm trying to add to it. And thinking down the road, I may want to add solar panels to the roof, so that's going to add more dead load to the roof. Alright, I got ahead of myself again. I need to remove this and cut this up a little more. I need to actually put a proper header here. I'm just going to do a 6x6, 2-ply 6x6 with a piece of plywood in between to take up the gap. I might not ordinarily worry about this if this were like an intermediate stud, but there is a rafter that's right on that stud, and so I want to make sure it has a good header. That is all for this part. Little port window there. Like I said, so the bench top will come right over here and it'll come into this port where and this is for the chop saw over there. I'm going to build a little extension box around this on the inside of the shed with a little bit of a funnel that goes down into here with a port for the vacuum system, which will sit right there. It's just a mess in here again. I got to clean up. I'm starting to forget where things are, so I want to make sure that I can find them for tomorrow. And that's about it. So, hopefully tomorrow you'll see me with the materials in the driveway. I'm going to clean up. I'm going to do all that off camera because, you know, most of it's just going to be cleaning and moving stuff around. It's probably not very interesting. Tomorrow, hopefully you will see me bringing materials in. The delivery came. This is all the 2x6s for the supplementary rafters in the garage. And then some OSB sheets for the wall right there. Since I don't need these 2x6s right away, I think I'm just going to pile them up over here on some stickers if you don't have one of those fancy panel clamps to move sheet goods, you can use a clamp. A short clamp like this works pretty good, or like a C clamp or anything like that. I think these work the best. The panel clamps are a little better, and I am probably going to get one, but when you don't have it, use a clamp. And then carry it over. Rinse and repeat. Just like that. And then use the clamp so the wind doesn't blow these over. It's like, wow. Some days I got it, and other days I don't. This is one of those days where I just don't got it. Man, the energy just drains from me sometimes. You get started and everything's good. You feel normal, and after 5 minutes of work, the same 2x6 you lifted is 1,000 times heavier. It really sucks. And this isn't just like being out of shape or not eating correctly, although some of that probably does contribute. But there are literally days where I just can't. Some of it's getting old. I started pulling this electrical down to get the 2x4 ledger board up there. I'm just going to do this in sections because I don't want to have to pull everything down all at once. I'd rather it just kind of stay kind of in the vicinity of where it needs to be. What I wanted to do is just, I'm going to keep everything surface mounted. So once I put the 2x4 up there for the ledger, I can basically put all this stuff back.